Hey everyone, I owe you an apology. I totally missed last week's update. I know, I messed up. I was swamped and skipped week 7's video. That's on me, no excuses. Go ahead, roast me, I deserve it.
滚回去工作，滚回去工作，滚回去工作，滚回去工作，滚回去工作 ，Get back to work.
But seriously, lesson learned. To make it up to you today, I'm combining week 7 and week 8 into one jam-packed update. So buckle up, we've got 2 weeks of Switch 2 hacking news to cover. Nintendo's rapid-fire updates. What the fuck is going on? First, what on earth is Nintendo doing with these constant system updates? It feels like they're dropping a new firmware every other week, and it's getting ridiculous. In the past 14 days, we saw 2 firmware updates, version 20.2.0 in mid-July and then 20.3.0 just 2 weeks later. Both updates were presented as minor routine patches. You know, the classic general stability improvements to enhance the user's experience in life. Nah, just joking. For example, 20.2.0, released July 14th, did nothing flashy. It fixed a small parental control transfer bug and then just touted more stability improvements. And 20.3.0, July 28th, was basically more of the same. No major new features, just yet another promise that your Switch is now even more stable. Let's be real. Nobody asked for weekly stability updates, so it's pretty obvious what's going on. Nintendo is on a mission to thwart homebrew and modders. This rapid-fire patches feels like a deliberate attack on the homebrew community. A cat and mouse tactic to break our custom firmware and flashcart as quickly as we can update them. It's honestly annoying. I'm trying to stay professional here, but as a homebrew enthusiast, I'm frustrated. Every time we blink, there's another system update nagging us, clearly aimed to patching exploits or detecting mod devices in the background. It's like Nintendo is saying, oh, you found a workaround, not for long. Cringe. From a homebrew user's perspective, this is a huge headache. Each surprise update tends to break custom firmware or other tools until developers scramble to fix it. For instance, firmware 20.2.0 initially broke atmosphere, requiring an urgent update from custom firmware devs to restore compatibility. The hacking community has basically started warning everyone not to update immediately. Always wait until your custom firmware, Hackaday and SIG patches, etc. are confirmed working on the new firmware. Nintendo patching their firmware every week is bloody annoying, as one user put it, because it keeps us modders on our toes constantly. Why so many updates now? Well, Switch 2 launched only last month and Nintendo saw how much the original Switch got hacked and pirated. They are clearly going to extra lengths to keep the Switch 2 lockdown tight. Frequent firmware updates are one way they are trying to stay ahead of hackers. It's a war of attrition. By the time the homebrew scene adapts to one update, Nintendo's already pushing out the next. From their perspective, rapid updates patch security holes and deter piracy. And from our perspective, it's overkill. Like, come on Nintendo, give us a break. We just want to enjoy our homebrew and backups. Instead, we're dealing with constant pop-ups and broken mods. It's a tense game of cat and mouse, and right now the Big N is aggressively batting at us mice with these updates. To be clear, I'm not advocating doing anything against Nintendo terms. I'm just voicing the homebrew community's fatigue here. Stability is great, Nintendo, but this rate of updates is insane. It feels completely targeted, as if every stability patch hides an anti-homebrew payload. We will comply for now. I mean, we have to, but yeah, we're professionally irritated. Alright, now onto the Make Flashcart saga, which has been the hot topic in the Switch 2 hacking scene. If you're out of the loop, Make Flash is a third-party reprogrammable cartridge that lets you load up multiple games, like backups of your cartridge, onto one card for Switch 1 and 2. It's convenient for carrying your library around, but it also enables piracy, which put it squarely in Nintendo's crosshair. In fact, right after the Switch 2's launch, Nintendo started nuking any Switch 2 console that had used the Make card. These bans manifest as an error code that basically breaks your console's online access, meaning the system can't go online at all, a huge bummer for anyone who got caught. Nintendo has been extremely protective of the new system, banning devices within days of launch for Make usage. It got so bad that even people who unknowingly bought second-hand Switch 2 units ended up with a banned console because the previous owner had used a Make card. Yeah, total nightmare scenario. Now, in the last 2 weeks, the big question has been, is the updated Make card firmware actually safe from bans? The team behind Make released a firmware update version 1.2.2 on July 9th, claiming it makes the cartridge virtually undetectable from a real game card. Pretty bold claim, right? Since then, we've been watching closely. One Reddit user even bragged recently that after updating to make 1.2.2, they ripped and loaded 20 different games onto it and played them all online and still haven't been banned. That's impressive and a little brazen. It suggests the new MIG firmware might be doing its job hiding from Nintendo's detection for now. But before you get too excited, others in the community are warning this could be a false sense of security. Plenty of folks responded to that Redditor basically saying enjoy it while it lasts because it's likely just a matter of time. And I agree, don't let your guard down. Nintendo often bans in waves, not instantly. They might silently flag consoles that use unauthorized cards and then swing the ban hammer later, all at once. Telemetry data is likely being logged every time you use MIG online. In fact, it's been pointed out that Nintendo stores usage logs in places that even a factory reset won't clear. So you could be walking around thinking you're safe, but the evidence of MIG usage is sitting on your system, just waiting to phone home the next time you connect to Nintendo servers. Scary, right? As of now, we haven't heard new reports of bans specifically on MIG 1.2.2. It seems safe in the last couple of weeks, in the sense that no one has come forward saying I updated MIG and got banned immediately. The MIG developers even ran a bug bounty to iron out detection issues. They paid someone 0.2 ETH for reporting a flaw in version 1.2.1, and they've publicly stated that you use the device at your own risk with no guarantees of avoiding a ban. In other words, even the makers admit there are no promises here. If you use MIG, you're playing with fire. The one confident Reddit user who's still unbanned is extremely lucky so far, but they're effectively a test dummy. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo is quietly collecting data and a ban wave could hit later. Remember, this is the company that sued and imprisoned piracy device sellers. They're not going to just shrug and give up because of one undetectable firmware. Nintendo's stance is that using MIG to load games, even your own backups, violates their terms of service. They've reversed bans only in cases where innocent user could prove they were duped, like buying a used game that turned out to have been tied to a flashcart. But if you knowingly used MIG, you're unlikely to get any sympathy. So yeah, MIG 1.2.2 is holding up for now, but assume it's not 100% safe. In other news, let's address a bizarre drama from the past 2 weeks, the so-called Switch 2 emulator that's been making the rounds. If you've heard whispers about a new emulator named Hassaku or Hassaku that allegedly runs Switch 2 games on PC, it's a total scam. I want to make this super clear because some people apparently almost fell for it. As of right now, no real Switch 2 emulator exists. It's impossible to emulate a console as new and as complex as Switch 2 until hackers have fully broken into the system and understand its innards. And that hasn't happened yet, publicly at least. So any claim of, oh my god, we already have a Switch 2 emulator is bogus. The folks behind the Hassaku emulator have been spinning an elaborate lie. They even showed footage of games like the new Donkey Kong running on PC, which turned out to be a stolen video from a real console stream. They muted the original streamer's commentary and pretended the audio drops out were a glitch. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. Multiple tech experts and community members have investigated Hassaku and concluded it's a fake. One Reddit post put it perfectly bluntly: Switch 2 emulation simply isn't possible yet. It's fake. All of them are. Once Switch 2 is actually hacked, trust me, you'll hear about it. Only after that will real emulation progress even begin. In other words, until someone gets root access to the Switch 2 and dumps its firmware/keys, an emulator is pure fiction. I've heard reports they were asking for donations or charging for access, which is absolutely crazy. They even tried to lend themselves credibility by claiming Nintendo issued a DMCA and bought out their project for 10 million. Yes, they literally claimed Nintendo paid them $10 million to shut down. Come on, that's obviously nonsense and part of the scam. So if you see anything about a Switch 2 emulator download, avoid it. Best case, you'll be downloading malware or a virus. Worst case, you might even hand your personal info or money to scammers. The homebrew scene is excited for future emulation, sure, but we're not there yet. As one commenter joked, if people insist on believing these fakes, maybe they deserve the viruses that come with them. Harsh, but true. The real emulation developers, folks behind Yuzu, Ryujinx, etc. will not be secretly dropping a fully working next-gen emulator on some random forum. It will be big news when it does happen, and it certainly won't require you to disable your antivirus or pay for a download. So I repeat, Hassaku is a scam. Stay away and spread the word to stop others from falling for it. Wow, that was a lot, but that's what happens when I owe you 2 weeks worth of updates. To recap the highlights, Nintendo's been on a rampage with rapid firmware updates 20.2.0, 20.3.0 under the guise of stability, clearly aiming to hamper the homebrew and modding community. The MIG flashcart cat and mouse continues. Its latest update version 1.2.2 claims to be stealthy and so far no bans have been reported from it, but don't let that fool you. Nintendo could still drop the hammer in a delayed ban wave and using MIG online is high risk. And finally, we exposed the fake switch to Emulator. Nonsense, any such claims are 100% false right now. With Hassaku being the prime scam to avoid. On a related note, it's worth mentioning Nintendo's broader anti-piracy efforts have been in full swing. In case you missed it, a major Switch piracy site, NSW2U, was seized by the FBI recently. So Big N is fighting on all fronts: firmware updates, console bans, and legal actions. It's a tough time for modders and pirates, no doubt. But the community is strong and always adapts. We've been through similar battles with the 3DS, the Wii, the original Switch, and hey, we're still here. Thank you for sticking around for this double-length update. Again, sorry for skipping last week. You have my word, I'll stay on top of it going forward. No more slacking, I promise. If you found this video helpful and informative, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss future weekly, yes, weekly updates. Drop any questions or news I missed in the comments. I love hearing your thoughts. Stay safe out there, happy modding, and I'll see you all next week for the week 9 update. Don't forget to smile. My name is Yu. I hope I'll see you in the next video. Peace.